I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 6 shots or only 5? Well, to tell you the truth, in all this excitement, I've kind of lost track myself. But Ian, this is a 44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, and would blow your head clean off. You've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Good morning to the Merrimack Valley. Do you feel lucky today? Well, do ya? Because Mega Millions Mania is hitting the Merrimack Valley as we welcome you to the best hour of rapid fire radio, the JMac and the Bear Show. The JMac and the Bear Show is brought to you by Sal's Pizza, Salvatore's Restaurants, and Riverwalk Properties. I am John McDonald along with the Bear, my co-host, George Zaharoulis. I'd also like to welcome our in-studio guests, Mr. John Nappi and Bob Gagnon, community activists and gurus of all things known in the Bladder Dam and flooding universe in Lowell. I encourage you to call in at 978-454-4980 and talk to us live on WCAP 980 AM, where everybody gets it.
Well, John, today is our 9th show, the show where week to week we will discuss everything from Lowell on national politics, and this week, the Pawtucketville Dam. Yes. But before we do, congratulations to Barica 7A girls for winning the championship and wrestling it away from North Attleboro 45-36. Nice going, girls.
Well, George, I think that just brings us right up to who or what is poking the bear.
Well, John, I had a chance to sit down with a few people and mostly veterans, and we got to talking about the disabled soldier backlog, which puts the Army at risk. The backlog of soldiers too injured to serve is growing so large that it could affect the Army's ability to go to war. Army leaders plan to reduce the size of the service by 10,000 to 15,000 soldiers each year over the next decade. But that's not counting the 20,500 troops Army doctors have declared unable to serve. Budget cuts combined with the end of the Iraq War and the drawdown of the Afghanistan conflict have forced the Army to cut end strength by 80,000 soldiers. The 20,500 soldiers tabbed to leave the service because of disability, however, still remains in the books. Saying this, why can't these disabled soldiers be retrained to take over civilian jobs within the government to help out and extend their life so that they can receive their retirement benefits? The thing that really bothers me is the situation with Staff Sergeant Robin Bales. 17 counts of murder, 6 counts of attempted murder, 6 counts of assault. And then our government takes our taxpayers' dollars and gives it $50,000 to each person that was killed and $11,000 to those that were injured. Is this setting a precedent? Like to hear from you. Does that mean that when we drop a bomb and innocent people happen to be there, does this mean we have to pay them as well? I don't want to see my tax dollar spent this way. I may be cruel, but let me tell you, as a taxpayer, I resent the fact that we send our good troops over and we have 20-odd thousand youngsters, the prime and the best from our country, that are injured, that need help, and can't receive it. Thank you. Call in.
Well, I'll tell you, the perfect segue for our next guest that has called in. I would like to welcome Mr. Bob Fairburn from Veterans Helping Veterans. Bob, welcome to the JMac and the Bear Show.
Hi, John. It's very nice to speak with you.
Well, very nice to speak with you.
Meeting you someday.
Well, I look forward to meeting you as well, sir. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your organization and what you are working on, sir?
Well, Veterans Assisting Veterans was formed by myself and Dennis Michella, a retired U.S. Marshal, Dick Nazzaro, one of the original Green Berets. He was a colonel, and he's a retired state police lieutenant. And Joe Machado from retired state trooper, and Johnny Leonard out of Natick, the 82nd Airborne veteran I met. What we're doing with our organization is we are each year going to run an annual event out of Lowell to supply methods so that we can raise funds for the small organizations that are run basically mom and pop veteran service groups, and they have very little funding, and they do all the work out of love and concern. And that would be the American Brain Injured Veterans from Florida with Cheryl Lynch, the Iraq and Afghanistan War Widows and Children, and then we were also raising money for the Iraq and Afghanistan Fallen Warrior Memorial out of Boston with Danny Magoon, and we're doing we're also throwing some money into the Boston Wounded Warrior run that run actually is taking place April 28th, and we're involved in that also. And we're going to throw a little seed money into them for next year when they will be linked up with our group.
Well, Bob, it sounds like you guys are very active. Could you tell us a little bit about the big program that you are putting together this summer in Lowell?
Oh, this is going to be awesome. We've spent a year putting this together. James Montgomery has been unbelievable with us. We're going to do a motorcycle run starting at Hanscom Air Force Base. The base commander has given us permission to start on the lockdown side, the Air Force side. We want to get between 2,000 and 3,000 motorcycles.
Wow.
And we're going to go from Hanscom Air Force Base. We're going to go out through the countryside and back into Lowell, to the Lowell Auditorium. The people at the Lowell Auditorium are unbelievable. We have a lot of problems with. I apologize that I got a buddy with me who had his cell phone just went off. I lost my track.
No problem. You were talking about the great people of the Lowell Memorial Auditorium, which we love as well.
Lowell Memorial Auditorium, they have simply been wonderful to us. And when we were trying to find a venue for this, everybody wanted huge sums of money. And at the Lowell Auditorium, they said this is for veterans, and that's it. And they gave us a more than reasonable rate, and they're just wonderful people to deal with. And the motorcycle run this summer is going to be on the 28th, but on the 27th, I'm putting together a Veterans Career Day and Benefits Day for these returning young warriors, and it's really a great event. And when I told Pete Lowry at the Lowell Auditorium that I said, well, I'm going to do a Veterans Benefits and Career Day over at the Plant Street VFW.
Yep.
I said the day before, he said, no, you can put it right here in the hall.
And that's great.
We've done events like that here before. I mean, the Lowell Auditorium people are in a class by themselves.
Absolutely, they are a class by themselves. Could you tell us a little bit about the concert that you guys are forming? And I think a lot of people will be excited with some of the talent that is going to be coming once again to the city of Lowell that you're bringing in order to support some of these veterans initiatives, Bob.
Okay, yes, John. We have James Montgomery has gathered the talent. He's not finished doing it yet. But we have Skunk Baxter from the Doobie Brothers and Steely Dan, Isla Brown, Barry Goodrow, who was with the band Boston, Sid Hassian, who was with the band Boston, Fran Shannon was a member of the band Boston, Sandy McDonald from Hootie and the Blowfish and the Commitments, Johnny A. out of down in Boston area, the James Montgomery Band with David Howe from the Joe Perry Project, the Uptown Haunts with the Rolling Stones, the Jay Giles Band, James Brown and the B-52s. And we have three new opening acts, but they're not finalized yet, so I can't get them to see. But that's the all-star cast that we're going to have for the gym.
Wow, I think that's very exciting. I just based on those names alone, I think you're probably drawing a lot of interest. I see one of our co-hosts of the show here, Wireless Mike. His eyes were lighting up. He's our resident music expert, and he's all things music to us here at WCAP and to our show as well.
And James Montgomery, a very good friend of the station. He's been on with us several times, and when he puts together a show, it is always top flight. He just overdoes it. You tell him you want some big names, he just doesn't stop bringing them in. So this should be a fantastic concert.
It should.
We tried to get Steven Tyler, but the Aerosmith's going on a tour this summer. And so we couldn't get him. But, no, James has been unbelievable. I worked with James 30 years ago at the Orpheum when he did a couple of concerts for returning Vietnam veterans. James is in a class by himself, too.
Well, hey, Bob, I want to thank you for calling in. And real quick before we let you go, is there any way or contact information that we can find out the people that might be interested in getting involved with this? Or is there some way of getting a hold of you? Ready for that yet?
We haven't got our website up yet. I want to mention one other guy from Lowell who's been unbelievable, who's a great help to us. That's Eric Lamash, the veterans agent for Lowell.
Great guy.
That kid he's jumped right in. He's going to be involved. I mean, it's just been a great reception in Lowell. I lived in Westford for years. Before I moved to Boston, I'm moving back this summer. I just want to say the people of Lowell, they're unbelievable. I mean, the support for the people of Lowell, the community, the veterans community, and the auditorium have been above and beyond.
Well, that's fantastic.
I want to thank you, John, for having me on.
Well, you're more than welcome. Pleasure to do it. You've got some fellow veterans in the room, and we are pleased and tickled pink to help in any and every way. Bob Fairbairn, who is the leader of the Veterans Assisting Veterans Organization, want to thank him for coming on the line in the JMac and the Bear Show. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, John.
Bye-bye.
Bob, before you go off.
He's gone. He's gone. Oh, there he is.
You do know that Centerville Memorial Park is also going to have bricks dedicated for the Veterans Way. The Veterans of St. Louis Memorial Committee has set up a group to pave the walkway there. So Joe Dussault, who was a past veterans agent...
He's down Play Street, isn't he?
I beg your pardon, I didn't hear.
He's at the Play Street VFW?
It's Centerville.
No, you said Joe Dussault. That said, wasn't he with the Plain Street VFW?
Yeah, I believe he is. He is.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
I transferred my membership up there. My past commander down in Dedham of 2075. I transferred my membership up here.
Well, very good, Bob.
That's good. It's a great organization, and they do a lot of wonderful things, especially with Radio Free, the voice of the youngsters from the high school.
Oh, that's great. Hey, listen, we've been looking for a local group to donate to. We'll be glad to kick into them.
All right. Well, hey, thank you, Bob, for joining us on the JMac and the Bear Show. Again, ladies and gentlemen, Bob Fairbairn. He's putting together a big concert. He's getting involved with all kinds of veterans organizations. He's doing great things, and he's bringing all kinds of talent, and from musicians to politicians. He's bringing them all together to join in this great cause. Thank you for being on the JMac and the Bear Show. Well, that brings us to our in-studio guests. And something that, I have been talking with both Mr. Nappi and Bob about, and they've been working on in the community for us for a very long time, since the some of the tragic floods that hit Lowell some years ago. They've been community activists, very engaged, and have been doing a lot of legwork for the community. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Good morning, John.
Good morning,
John. George, glad to be here.
Thank you.
Glad to have you.
I'm sorry about that.
No, that's okay. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit of some of the things that have been going on? And I know, John, we had talked about your efforts to organize the various towns, or trying at this point to organize the various towns, so there's a common voice in regards to the Pawtucketville Dam issue. Whether you want to call it the Bladder Dam or just floods in general, and how it's affecting the home ownership along the banks of the Merrimack River throughout the valley.
Exactly, but I'm just one part of that small a small part at that. I brought my buddy Bob Gagnon today, who is probably the premier guy in knowing exactly what's going on, and I'll just turn it over to Bob and contribute when I think it's necessary.
Well, thanks, John. You're being very generous. John knows more than anybody. He's a great researcher. He can find things that nobody even knew existed. He turned up the Wang Agreement, which was a deed attached to the dam, a lien attached to the deed of the dam that showed the board's heights that the hydro plant was ignoring. But as of late, there's been some new developments with the inflatable dam that are pretty encouraging. It seems like they've hit a stalemate. About a little over a month ago, they sent out an MOA, a Memorandum of Understanding, Memorandum of Agreement, to try to get the National Park Service to sign off on the project so that the inflatable dam could proceed.